kind of just happened. I was at a flea market and I saw actually this one. It was this Minolta X370. This is actually my first real camera, and it was at a flea market. And I was like 10 or 11, and I asked my dad, said, "Hey, will you buy me this camera?"
I found my first camera. I was actually down in Laramie, and I went to this antique shop. Don't remember what it's called. And this antique shop, it's a huge antique shop, and I was walking around and I saw this camera, and like Vaughn, my first camera was a Minolta X370.
My first camera, okay. So, this beautiful beauty of mine, I got from a friend. I was in my first year of college, and I went from a dance major to an art education major, and I really wanted to do photography, really wanted to focus on it and hone in on my skills. So I enrolled in photography class, and they wanted to film camera. So my friend actually had one to give me that I took on and got to experiment with and play with, and from there I just kept going, kept expanding.
My favorite part of photography, I'd have to say it's getting to know the people you're taking pictures for. I do a lot of weddings and birthdays and family portraits. And I did family photography for my coworker Bruce and his kids and his wife for his kid's grandmother's birthday. And I didn't really know Bruce, I knew Bruce from work, and I didn't really know his wife or his kids at all, and he has 4 kids. And I didn't know either of them, and I got to know him, and it's got to the point where I see him in public and they all say hi to me. And I think just getting to know the family and the people you're taking pictures of, I think that's part of being a photographer. It's not just making money doing pictures, it's getting to know people. And my favorite part about film photography overall is I'm out in public shooting street photography, and there's this older guy, in his 50s or something, and he says, "Hey, is that a Canon A1 or a Minolta X370?" And I say, "Yeah." And they say, "Wow, I used to shoot one of those back in the day." And it's kind of cool because as teenagers, you don't really get along with older people and 2 generations before you. And you don't really have anything to get to know them or, to talk to them about because there's nothing in common. But they grew up with film cameras. They grew up shooting a 120 and 35 and 127 and using all these kind of SLRs and point and shoots. And it's just one of those things that, you can talk to them about.
I really like the understanding of what you're doing. Time goes on, and it only happens once. Everything you see right now only happens once, and you get to capture that. And that's really cool, just because you can take a second out of so many billions of years that the world has been around, and you can capture one moment in time. It's insane, and that's the main reason why I love photography so much, is because you can get so much out of one small picture.
I still shoot film because it holds a certain essence to it. It puts more of yourself, you put more work into it, so when it's done and over with and you have the photo in front of you, you can say that you've done an awesome job putting all this effort into it. Film also holds a certain sense of nostalgia to it, so the whole process itself is pretty intriguing, pretty fun, and I don't know, I just love it.
I think it goes back to, it was originally the first thing I ever shot. I'd never really done digital photography because when I started it was before camera phones and just little point and shoots where you could get a picture worth anything. I learned on film. I learned how to shoot camera, an SLR on film. I got DSLRs, but every time I go back to film, it kind of just takes you back to a simpler time where photography was more you and the camera, where with DSLRs it's all automated. You can go to full auto where it does the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO for what you're shooting. Where with cameras, even old ones like this Argus, you have to use a light meter. You get one-on-one, and it teaches you to shoot without a light meter, like to use the Sunny 16 rule, or even you can do cool things with the apertures where you can get a way farther depth of field. You can get a farther or shallower based on what you do on the camera. It's just one of those things where you're one-on-one. You're not just a computer. It's not just a computer and you. It's one of these. It's like you can set the f-stop, you can change the shutter speed, you can over and underexpose stuff on purpose depending on what you want to do, or you can just experiment.
I shoot film because of the intensity of it, I guess. I mean, it may not seem like, ooh, shooting film cameras, man, so much intensity, like, but really, when you think about it, you only have so many shots on one single film and on one single film roll, and you have to make sure every shot is precise, like perfect ISO, so you don't get all of the grain that you really don't want. Perfect aperture, just so you have the right subject and no distracting items, and a perfect shutter speed so you don't get any blurs. But I guess film has so much more detail, I like to think, and it's so much more fun to shoot, just because, I mean, it might cost more, but you get more out of it, I think. There's more of a process, because when you're on digital, you're just shooting away and you have thousands of pictures that you can just click away, and then whoop, you can upload it to Instagram or Facebook and be like, cool, here's a picture of my hamburger I got from McDonald's. I mean, but really, when you're taking a picture with film, I think you get more out of it.